What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Kyle bringing you back with another video. Let's go. It's been a while since I did interviews. I'm glad to be back at it. Today we have on Joey Lauer, who plays for Siena College. He dealt through injuries, however, manages to throw 98 after it all. It's great to have you on with us, Joey.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it a lot, and I'm excited to be here.
Let's do it. All right, so let's get started with the storyline and questions. So when did you start playing baseball?
I started around 2, 3 years old, playing a little bit of t-ball here and there, and
Yep.
over time, it sort of developed into a big passion of mine. I had a couple of people in my family that played baseball growing up. One of my uncles ended up playing Division I baseball, so kind of ran in my blood a little bit, and
Yeah.
I fell in love with it, that and swimming, and I decided baseball was the one I loved more, and I took off with it.
hmm So, what position did your uncle play?
He was pretty much a two-way all the way through his career. His only downfall was he's pretty short. He's on the shorter side. He's like about 5'5". So um it didn't exactly work out the way he wanted, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's a great mentor and he's taught me everything I know. So a lot of what you see
Yeah.
in my stuff and my content, all my stuff on social media, a lot of it comes from him and he just didn't want to produce it. So I'm kind of taking in his footsteps.
Not to get a little off topic, but I feel like it's so great having someone who played the game uh be able to like mentor you because people who are parents or other people outside of the game, they don't know how it is. They don't know how difficult or how much of a challenge it really is. Like you can put so much effort in, as you know, and not get the result. And then they think like, why don't you get the result? Right?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I'll wait for that because I don't want to jump the gun on
Yeah.
your questions. Go
We'll
for it.
we'll wait a little. We'll wait a little bit. So what position did you start playing when you were young? Like, what were you always a pitcher or third base, outfielder,
Yeah,
catcher?
I mean, it started out, I had like one of the better arms on my team ever since I can remember. Um, I think when I was 8, it was the first time I made the All-Star team for my local town, Saratoga. And
Yeah.
I wasn't one of the better players because I was kind of like, so like we have T-ball, and then there's this thing we used to call bantam, and then minors and
Okay.
majors. And a lot of the
Yeah.
good players on my all-star team when they were 8 would play on the minor team, but I was still in
Yeah.
bantam for my second year. So
Okay.
it kind of was like a culture shock and like developing on that team. So I'd play like a lot of
Okay.
bench, a lot of outfield. And towards the end of the season, when I like kind of figured out how to hit coach pitch or kid pitch, because this was my first time facing kid pitch ever. Once I figured
Yeah.
it out a little bit, then I started playing third base a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, it was mostly outfield to start because decent arm just stick me out there. Hopefully, I shoot some people out, and then
Yeah.
third base a little bit too because of the good arm.
So were you like a an average height, weight kid at that age? Like what were your like measurables like physically and
Extremely undersized all the way
yeah.
up. I mean, it was at 8. I honestly don't know how tall, but definitely on the lower side of 4 feet. And then,
Oh my God.
I mean, all the way up till I was like 14. That's before I hit my growth spurt. I was 5 foot. Like I hovered around 5 foot for 3 years before I grew.
Wow. Now, before we get into, getting into high school, what is one thing you struggled with most, would you say, at the young age before like the big field? Like what did you struggle most with and what did you learn most from that little league field?
My biggest struggle was making errors. I had a lot of trouble playing third base because I mean we didn't have the like USA regulation bats when I would play in Little League, so it was all
Makos, yeah.
the U triple SAs, and some of the kids we'd play were just mammoths, and they'd be ripping them at me at third base, and it'd be like, I got no shot. So and I'm like, I don't know, it kind of messed me up a little bit because I'd
Yeah.
probably I don't know. I'd probably average an error every 2 or 3 games. So that
Hmm.
was frustrating. I never really had issues with hitting. I mean, obviously
No.
people go through slumps and stuff, but I
Yeah.
never really thought too much of that. I'd always think I'm good for at least a hit a game sort of thing.
Uh-huh. Uh, what is your greatest memory from the little league field, like the small field?
Uh, I would say there's two. My
Let's
11
hear
year
it.
old year, I can't pick. My 11-year-old year, we were in the Little League state tournament
Oh,
and
wow.
we won. We ended up winning it all, but
Hmm.
the way we won it was the best part, and it was So we made it in our 10-year-old year as well, but in 10U we got eliminated in like the quarterfinals, I believe, and we
Okay.
get there again in 11U, and it's pretty much the same exact teams as the year before, which was kind of nuts. A couple of different ones, but mostly the same. And the team that eliminated us in 10U is the team that we won it all against in the championship. But we ended up in the losers bracket after like I think it was the second game because we got beat. So like we won our first game and then we got beat, and then we were just losers bracket a game every day
Yeah.
for like 7 days straight,
Wow.
and we had to beat that team twice, and we killed them both times. So that was a great memory. And then another one that was really good was my 12U year. We were all anticipating, I mean, coming off a state championship. We were all pretty excited. I mean, it wasn't like oh, we're gonna just auto make it, but we were all pretty confident we had a chance at the Little League World Series.
Crazy.
Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. It kind of was
Yeah.
like a little bit of a strange thing that happened, but that's besides the point. So we ended up getting eliminated in the sectionals.
Hmm.
The team that we ended
Wow.
up the team we lost to ended up going to the regional championship against like Monet Davis's team.
Oh yeah, I do. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
so we would have ended up playing them if we ended up beating the team that we lost to. But so we ended up not making that, and we thought our summer was over. We are all upset, right? And one of the moms on our team, she was like trying to make something happen so we'd play a little bit more, right? So she
Yeah.
targeted Cooperstown. Now they wanted us to come on like 3 days notice, and the lady was like, "Yeah, I mean, we can come, but I don't think we can pay." So we ended up going there for free.
Wow.
We ended up going to Cooperstown for free. And the best part is we show up and we won the entire tournament.
That's insane.
Yeah. So,
Like mind blowing. Like,
and it was like, I mean, we were just firing on all cylinders. For the
yeah.
championship game, we're playing this like top team in California. They think they're going to kill us. Everyone's like, yeah, you guys are going to get smoked. And we ended up winning 15-3. Like, everyone was on fire the whole tournament. We went 10
What
and
was the
0 and just breezed through everybody we played. That was probably my
wow?
best memory from the small field for sure.
That is crazy. That's like never forget that moment.
Yeah, those are two of my favorite teams I've ever been a part of. It's unfortunate they were so early, but I mean, it's also still really cool.
Now, like looking back at those years, uh, what would you say like was the best thing you like did and like the worst thing you did? Like such like playing every day, throwing every day as a like not mature kid yet, like you're underdeveloped. You know what I mean? Like as
Yeah.
a young kid. Uh,
So, I mean, I
what's the
think
person?
in terms of our team, we were all pretty protected. I mean, none of us went more than 3 innings. Everybody on the team pitched because I mean, one of my uncle was one of the coaches, and he kind of like groomed us all to like make sure that we were good
Yeah,
enough pitchers that we could compete. So I mean, we had a roster of like 12 kids, and all 12 of us pitched. So we'd
that's
throw
nice.
like 2, 3 innings at a pop, and that was how we did it. So
Hmm.
I mean, all of our arms were pretty protected. We'd practice pretty much every day. I mean, I don't think my throwing consisted more anything more than like catch and then fielding ground balls
Yeah,
on most days. And I don't think I threw bullpens back then. It was just more like you get called in to pitch, you pitch. But so I mean,
yeah.
in terms of like when I was young, I didn't really get overused. None of my teammates did, and Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, it sounds like a lot of kids these days. I mean, if you're the stud at 12,
Don't
it
know.
doesn't have the greatest success rate. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely appreciative that I was protected. But I
Yeah.
also wasn't the best pitcher at that age either. I mean, I was so small. So
Mhm. Now, heading into high school, where were you at as like a player, and just take me through your high school career, all in all.
all right. So my freshman year, I was trying out for our junior varsity team, and I ended up getting cut because I went to the doctor and I was too underdeveloped to be on the team. The doctor told me it would be dangerous for me to compete with the junior varsity kids, even though I had the skill to do it. So,
Like puberty level, is that what he's talking about?
like
Or
physical maturity, because I hadn't hit puberty yet.
okay.
So,
Hmm.
I was told by a doctor that I couldn't compete at the level. So, I got sent to freshman. Freshman, I had a great year. Um, Hit really well, pitched really well, exactly what I would hope. And then the next year, I tried out for varsity. I had grown a little bit, but that season I was sent down again to junior varsity. And they said that, like, even though I had a good tryout and stuff, that I was still just a little too young. So I was like, all right, so what? I'll go pitch. And I had a good season there. They said they would call me up. And my last JV game was the same game, same day that they had the game that they got eliminated in. So didn't end up getting called up. And that summer was a big summer for me, my sophomore year. I'd grown probably from around 5'3" to 5'7" over that winter.
Okay.
And just growing that little bit for someone like me, because I usually had never grown like that
Yeah.
fast. I've always been a pretty slow grower.
Yeah.
So that 4-inch jump and then also putting on like 15 pounds of muscle helped a lot. And I
Hmm.
ended up going from like the start of the year topping 75 ish to by August, I was 85.
Oh my! Talk about a jump.
Yeah. So I mean, I think, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about at that point, but I mean, there was 3 years of really hard work I was doing, putting in the weight room before that, where I had nothing to show for it. So I think just like all that hard work added up, added up, added up, and it was kind of like a stock just hitting, and then boom, you just go up, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that happened, and I ended up going to a couple showcases in August, got some invites to camps for schools. I went to the Sienna camp,
Yeah.
and that was in like, I want to say mid-October. So I had a couple of outings and stuff that they came and watched me at prior to it, through a couple of complete games, which was cool.
Yeah.
And then show up at the camp, had a really dominant outing, faced 10 batters, struck out 9 of them. Um, Threw about, I don't think I threw 85 at the camp. I was somewhere around like 80,
Three, two.
83, somewhere in that
Yeah.
ballpark. But I mean, I showed I can get outs and I did well. So they ended up talking to me. They gave me an opportunity. They gave me a scholarship to attend the school. And at the time, there was a couple of family things that I had going on. So I made the decision that I wanted to be close to home and never looked back. Committed there. Didn't really have much of a recruitment. It was, I got that opportunity and I took it because I wanted to make sure I was close to home to help
Yeah.
out at home. So that was it. Never looked back, and here I am about to be a senior there. So
Wow. Now, how did you feel being committed at such a young age? Like, did you feel like all the weight came off your shoulders? Did you feel like, oh, I'm kind of like get a little bit more confidence? Like, yeah, like I got this. Like, this is what I deserved.
I would say yes and no, because at some points, like I would think about like, wow, it was relieving to know that I have 4 more years after high school ends where I still get to play the game I love. But at
Yeah.
other times, like considering the fact that I wasn't on varsity yet and like going to that varsity tryout with all the seniors there, that like it was a bit intimidating because like I felt like I had some big shoes to fill. You know what I mean? So I mean, my first couple like spring training outings, they were not good with varsity. I think I was just way too nervous. Didn't know how to cope with it, and just didn't pitch well. But then we get back up north, and I was dominant. So it it, it ended up being fine, and I was pretty solid, but definitely had a little bit of a moment there where I was nervous about it because I didn't want to. I wanted to exceed expectations, and the expectation bar went way higher by being committed at that age.
So, like, how would you handle the pressure? I know many people handle pressure very differently. And as you're a young kid, just like me, and we've both been through that same problem of like your expectations highs and you don't want to fall low to them, fall short. So how would you cope then? Like, what would you do?
I mean, at that point, I had no type of like coping mechanism for it. It was like short little stints where I'd be like no confidence in myself and stuff, but it would be literally like a couple batters. It wouldn't be whole outings or anything like that. And that confidence issue never really came back to life until I got hurt and stuff in college. But I mean,
Hmm.
it was it was not anything that I took like too seriously. I always figured it was just like, oh, I'm not feeling it that day. Mechanics are off or something, and that was all it is.
Yeah. Okay. Now, so we're in your junior year, like, right? Uh, like, junior year fall or spring, you would say, right?
Yeah.
What were some goals they had throughout high school to finish it up? Did you like plan on wanting to get drafted out of high school? Did you want to like hit a number? What were some of your goals?
Yeah, so before my junior year, like the season had even started, I was in the middle of swim season. It might have been even like Christmas time. They had this PBR event that they were offering for Division 1 commits, and they called it the Call to the Hall. I don't even know if they do it anymore, but it was like a only New York thing where the best players in New York get to go play in this like exhibition game at Cooperstown at Doubleday Field.
Wow.
And I signed up for it. I'm like, this is gonna be like my big event of the year because I just want to go have fun against some good players.
Hmm.
And I sort of set my sights on that prior to the season. I was like, all right, this is what I want to do. I don't care what I have to do to get there, but I want to hit 88 at that outing. And I
Yeah.
set that number in my head already in December.
Yeah.
So we get through the season. I don't think I ever went above 85 during my school ball season. I think I was only up to 85. Had a great year
For for junior
for
year or
junior
sophomore?
year.
Junior.
Had a great
Okay.
season. I only let up one run. I mean, I was coming out of the pen though, so it was
Yeah.
a little bit different because my
You're just
job was more like if the starter got in trouble, I would come in and finish the game as opposed to just getting my own starts. But
yeah.
so yeah, I that season ended, was up to around 85 or something like that. And I come into the summer and I hit this confidence roadblock again. And I'm not sure if it was partially like the injury stuff that was going on prior, like it was like a precursor of what was to come. But
Yeah.
my first outing of um my summer ball season where I'm with like I mean I'm comfortable with these kids, but it was like I had to fulfill expectations again, kind of in a way, right?
Yeah.
And it's
I
my
got you.
first outing. My at the time assistant coach at Siena, he's no longer there, but the guy that recruited me, he was at the game, and I'm nervous, and it's in Boston, and I'm facing a decent team.
Was
I
it
don't
Boston
remember
Open?
exactly what was that.
Is it Boston Open or
Yeah, Boston Open. I
okay.
was down there, and I'm pitching. I'm facing a decent team, nothing too special, but a good enough team.
Hmm.
And I'm just in there, and I think the first inning I let up 8 runs.
Holy shit.
I don't. It was like a combination of hits, walks, decent amount of walks, and I'm just like,
Okay.
shoot, what's going on? And at that moment, it like tested me because I'm maybe a month and a half out from that outing that where my goal is to go and dominate against those players, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is I'm facing those guys, and my confidence is zero again because that was terrible.
Mhm.
So my coach has me face like a couple of the lesser teams that we play during like our summer league games.
Okay.
So I get my confidence back a little bit because I get through a couple innings here and there.
Yeah.
And basically, what happened was maybe a week before we had a tournament before I was set to go on this outing. And I had expected to face the championship game because that was typically the game I would pitch at this time in my career.
Yeah.
But we were playing the best team in the tournament on the first game. And I didn't realize that until I showed up at the field. So the day before, I threw a bullpen and I was throwing like pretty good intent, like just getting ready for what I thought would be Sunday. And this game's on Thursday.
Yeah.
So I prepared on Wednesday for the Sunday game, right?
I know
And
exactly what you're talking about.
so I get to the field and he's like, "You're pitching." And I'm throwing and I'm warming up. There's like a little backstop, and I hit the backstop every time. Didn't catch his glove once. I don't remember. I get on the mound, right?
Mhm.
I get out there, walk the first guy on 4 pitches. Next batter, 3-2 walk. Batter after that, 3-1 walk. Bases juiced. My uncle
Okay.
comes out to the mound because he was an assistant coach for the team.
Yeah.
He comes out to the mound and he just gives me a big slap, not in the face, but I don't remember exactly where, and he just hits me. And he's like, "Figure it out." Next 3 batters, strike him out, get out of it. And then the rest of the game, I just lights out through
Wow.
through a 18 strikeout no hitter. Would have been a perfect game if I hadn't walked the 3 batters. And I ended up hitting 86. And this is the week before the outing. So I was real excited. New PR, good outing, on top of the world. So now we head to what my goal has been since December, which was a
Yeah.
tennis outing, hit 88, and pitch against some good Division One hitters. Get to the field, super nervous. Didn't know what to expect because I knew there was going to be a lot of really good players there that were much better than me. Get out
Okay.
there, and I think I threw like 2 innings later in the game. I had 5 strikeouts and hit 88. So I reached my goal that year. I was very happy about that.
Yeah.
And after that, I think I threw another outing. Oh, yeah, I definitely did throw another outing. This was like the best stretch of my career. I threw another outing after that.
More to come though. More to come.
Yeah. So after that one, get out there again like 2 days later, and I threw a combined no hitter with my teammate. That was the coolest thing.
Wow.
And then I think I shut it down after that. So that left me in like August.
Yeah.
So in August, planned to go out on like a couple of vacations with my family out west. We went to see like Yosemite and all that stuff. I took some time off from throwing, just didn't throw. Get back in September right before school starts. Hadn't touched the baseball, just showed up to practice. And my arm was feeling good. So I was like, screw it. I'm just going to throw.
Mhm.
I throw a bullpen and I'm 88, 89. And I'm like, where did that come from? Let's go. Like nothing, I didn't do anything. I was just lifting and took time off. And I just
Yeah.
went up to 88, 89, had a big jump. So I was like, cool. Week after, I was gunning for 90. I was like, I'm right there. I got to try. Ended up
Yeah.
hitting it. Sit speed was a little lower. I think I was sitting like 86, 87, but I happened to hit a 90 or two. So I was like, this is
Mhm.
sweet. So I exceeded my expectations for the year. Then I threw in this like big tournament against some of the local teams, but it's at this like minor league field that we have nearby. It's where
Okay.
the Tri-City Valley Cats play.
Mhm.
And I always love pitching in that field. Like it just gets me amped up. And I mean, you're pitching on a big league kind of field, so
Yeah.
it's really cool as a high schooler. And I was there. They had a couple scouts there, not watching me, but it's like some other guys we were playing. And I guess the U Albany coach like pulled out the gun when I was on the mound. Had a great outing, another great outing. And I guess I ran it up to 91. So I was like, let's go. great year. Exceeded my expectations. So I went from 75 to 91 in like a 2 year stretch.
Wow, it's insane.
And then senior year, COVID canceled. So that didn't unfortunately materialize. But I did have a good summer season prior to going to college. So that was a lot of fun.
Hmm. Now, heading into college, let's give a little summary of the season and your shoulder injury. It was your shoulder, correct? Or
I'll explain.
yeah,
Um, Basically, so I got to college after coming off a pretty solid summer season, which unfortunately we didn't have my senior season of like high school baseball, but
yeah,
later in that summer we had the summer league, did well, and then we played some like live at bat scrimmages on the field pretty much every
hmm,
week at school when we got there. And I did extremely well in those. I was very confident that I'd be a major contributor for the team after doing so. And then all of a sudden, we get to the winter where we're going to do more live at bats inside. And I just couldn't throw a strike to save my life. I couldn't feel the ball in my hand. You'd feel like if you've ever seen, or if you've ever thrown in like pouring rain, you know how it feels like you can feel the water between the ball and your
yeah,
fingers.
hmm,
That's how it would, and it still can feel like that for me now to this day, where I just like it feels like my hand's here and the ball's here, and I can't control it. So basically, my injury is called thoracic outlet syndrome, and I'm not exactly sure how I got it, but I would assume it's partially from swimming because I'm doing overhead sports all the time, and I also
yeah,
think part of it would be from like I have a big tendency of yanking my head when I throw, and I think that's just something I developed because being a smaller guy, I always felt like I had to press harder to throw harder.
yeah,
So I think a combination of those two things, maybe just throwing too much in general when I got a little bit older, that
hmm,
that all added up to getting this nerve damage problem. And basically what it is like under the collarbone, there's this channel of nerve bundles that go through this little pathway. And if it
yeah.
gets pinched, like I believe it runs right through here. If it gets
Okay,
pinched in there, the feel of your arm can be
you lose it.
totally thrown off. And it's a pretty brutal injury. A lot of people have been had their careers taken away from them from this injury. I mean, if you look at Steven Strasburg, he was the 2019 World Series MVP, and now he just can't pitch, even though he's gotten the procedures, even though he's done all the treatment possible for TOS. It's just not working out. And I'm sure you've heard of Matt Harvey and Chris
Yeah,
Archer as well. Took
hmm,
their careers away as also. So it's
yeah,
not the best scenario to be in, but everyone's handed their own challenges, and I'm just trying to do my best to play through it.
yeah. So, how did this like affect you? Like when it happened, you found out. How were you like mentally and like physically? Like what were you doing and like how were you feeling?
So, I mean, at the time, a lot of what was going on was like my teammates around me and stuff were like, dude, you're just thinking too much. You're thinking too much. It can't be physical. It's just all in your brain.
Yeah,
But I mean, it I think just hearing that all the time made me overthink it too. So then that led into some mental like thinking about it too much, yip sort of kind of stuff.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
However, I think the majority of what caused all these issues was the nerve damage in the first place, and that was sort of like a byproduct of like me being worried because I didn't know what was going on and why I could like lose my ability to do what I felt was second nature. So basically, long story short, I was dealing with like two things at once where I was just domed up and actually hurt, and it just was a recipe for disaster. I mean, it was really tough to deal with my freshman year because I mean, on top of everything that you got going on as a freshman, where you're just trying to like figure
Get
it
used.
out. I mean, there's so many things going on as a freshman in college. You have to be learning about like just the daily routine, being away from home a little bit, even though I'm not necessarily that far away, but
Yeah,
it is certainly like a different sort of lifestyle that you have to adapt to. And
definitely.
I mean, seeing all these people every day, learning to deal with like all the crap that goes on at school, and you have to email this professor, that professor about making sure that you're good on like traveling away for your games. Like
Hmm.
to pile on top of it, like losing the ability to do something that you felt was second nature to you, and feeling like that's going to be a route that you may have as a career,
Yeah,
it's really hard to deal with. So, I mean, that made it tough, but you live and learn and you keep going, that's all you can do.
yeah, it's definitely. Who helped you the most? Uh, built you up and made you feel good during these like terrible times.
My grandma, she unfortunately passed away. Maybe
Sorry,
it's getting close to about 3 months now. But yeah, she was my
sorry.
rock through it all. She just like she's just got this way about her where she's such a strong lady. She had gone through cancer 4 different times, and I mean, it made it a lot easier for me because I mean, I'm looking at what she's dealing with, and I mean, this last battle she had right before she passed, she was, I mean, going at it with stage 4 stomach cancer for 6 years. So
Yeah,
when it comes to that, and I'm coming home to that and trying to help out, it was it made it a lot easier to not worry about what's going on with me because I knew it wasn't life threatening. You know what I mean? And like the
yeah,
fact that every day never complained, always put a smile on her face, tried to encourage all of us to go after what we want with our lives, including my parents, my uncle. It
yeah.
made it a lot easier to be like, okay, baseball is not the end of the world. I'm not going to die because I can't throw the baseball where I want to. Although I
Mhm.
want to throw the baseball where I want to so I can play the baseball as long as I can, as long as I hopefully can. Um, there's just
Mhm.
more things to life. And I mean, just having that at home, even though like I was very upset about what was going on with my baseball career, having that at home and being like realizing there's so much more that I could be dealing with. It
Yeah,
helped me cope with it better, I think.
yeah. I mean, I think it's awesome now how she's helped you like in a way that you learn from it and like you could deal with stuff better even now. Uh, I don't know. I feel like baseball too is like very gives you more aspect of life and like what's going on in a
Yeah.
sense that. So when did you start building your content? Well, when you're doing your recovery, you're trying to get back to normal. How did you start becoming the 60 ERA guy and take me through what it's been like?
So basically, my sophomore year, I'm coming in with high hopes. I think all the stuff's behind me, all the crap that's going on. Couldn't
Yeah.
be further from the truth. I thought my freshman year was going to be as bad as it could be, and the sophomore year blew it out of the water. I had 8 appearances, walked 21, or no, I didn't walk 21. I walked 18 and hit 3, so 21 free bags.
Okay.
3 innings pitched in 8 appearances. That's just horrendous. And that resulted in a 60 ERA. So I looked at that at the
Wow.
end of the season. I
Is that a
didn't look at
college
my.
record?
It's got to be. It has to be like the worst ERA in history for that many appearances, at least.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um. So I looked at it at the end of the season. I didn't want to look at my stats during the season. That was just going to be so brutal because I knew how bad they were.
Uh-huh.
So I look at it at the end of the season when I'm having my talk with my coach, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't know what to do with you. You got to figure it out." But like they know I have potential. So fortunately, not being at like a higher level school, I think it was a blessing in disguise because I probably would have been cut for sure. So
Hmm.
them allowing me to stay around a little bit and hopefully give me some leeway to figure it out. That I'm very appreciative for that because
Yeah.
I mean, if I played the field and went to some like bigger school,
Hmm.
who knows where I'd
See
be?
you later.
Yeah, who knows where I'd be right now? Because I know I'm not performing good enough to stay at one of those schools.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, they were like, "Yeah, just got to figure it out." So my thought process, and this is when I started it about last year, maybe like a month or so ago, a year ago,
Yeah.
and I thought about what I wanted to do with my life, and I just can't see my life being without baseball. And
Yeah.
to ensure that I could do it without like keep my life involved with baseball, I
Hmm.
wanted to do something that had nothing to do with like banking on me making getting drafted
Okay.
because
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I can always stay within the baseball realm.
Hmm.
So what I decided to do was decided to make a TikTok page, and I already had one a little bit because I just messed around and posted a video of me throwing blitz balls at like 110.
See
So
my center next, right?
no, that was a little bit after that. But I just did it for fun in like 2021. I made like a
Hmm.
one-time post, never like expected anything of it, and it went kind of viral. It got like 100,000 views and 10K likes, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I'm brainstorming. I'm brainstorming, and I remembered that I had done that. I was like, okay, maybe I can make a brand out of it. So I decided
Hmm.
I'm gonna just make a couple videos here and there because I actually enjoy making videos. I mean, I used to watch a lot of YouTube as a kid. I'd watch like these people that would do Lego Star Wars videos and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I mean, there was all kinds of things I would watch, and I always gravitated towards like really good editing, and I enjoy getting good at like those sort of tasks. Now I'm not a professional at it, but learning to make things look cool and like watching a cool video like that makes me interested in stuff. So I was like, all right, I have a passion for this. One of my weaknesses I feel like as a person is my communication skills. So I wanted to develop a podcast to work on that.
Hmm.
And I figured doing these sort of things is like a self-improvement approach to myself. And maybe it'll help me just figure out this baseball thing too, because I'm not so focused on that and like the negatives of it's not going the way I want. So
Yeah.
basically what I did was I developed this plan that I was gonna just run a social media account, build it up, see what happens, see what opportunities come from it, and basically just see if I can build a future out of my baseball knowledge and what I can provide to others. Because some of my core tenets as a person is like when I'm looking at what I want to do with my life and what I'm trying to do with my future, is
Yeah.
I've always been very dead set on whatever I do, I want to help people. Now,
It's all.
when I was really young, I always thought I was going to be like a biomedical engineer because I wanted to cure cancer because my it directly impacted my family. My grandma had it a lot, and it really made me want to cure cancer, as
Yeah.
cliche as it sounds. So in that regard, like I wanted to help people, and then it sort of shifted a little bit. I didn't necessarily want to do that once I tried to be a biochem major because it was a little too tricky my freshman year.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically that's one of my core tenets. I want to be family oriented, be close to my family, make sure they're good, take care of them. And doing those things, I felt like the niche that I created out of the social media account is doing exactly what I had hoped.
Hmm.
And honestly, probably better than I had hoped because I mean, the amount of people that I get messages from that are telling me that I've helped them and all this sort of stuff is just it's really making me like feel like it was a good decision on my part. And I'm taking the knowledge that I felt like I've developed over the years in terms of just like overall baseball knowledge through my training and developing and the things I've figured out through trying to learn things myself for my own
Yeah.
progress. I felt
Hmm.
like a combination of all of that stuff and then just putting it out on the internet to help others isn't a bad idea. And it
Yeah.
seemed like a lot of the people I would see on the app weren't really doing that. They were all kind of doing like baseball skits and like just not really genuine stuff. Like whenever you see someone post a bullpen, it's just dot 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 dot. That's not a
Yeah,
bullpen. People are missing all the time. I mean, I'm a culprit of that too. Like I'll post some that I'm like dot 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 because I mean sometimes it just is
that's
nice
what
to
they
do.
want to see. Yeah,
Yeah, but then I'll come back with the ones where I missed too, where most people they just do dot dot dot.
edit it out.
You know what I mean?
Hmm. I
So
got you.
I think having that genuine sort of persona about it, like just being me, being true to what I believe in, like you're not gonna see me doing a skit. I'm sorry. Like that's just not me. But I think just being true to what I feel is what I would want to see if I was a kid watching it helps me grow and like be the way I would want to be for somebody else. So I think,
To look up to.
yeah, just being true to yourself
And
with it, being genuine, and it resonates with people. And I think the message I'm trying to portray about just being close with God, having faith in his plan for you, and just being goal
God's plan,
oriented,
baby.
attack every day the best you possibly can. That's the best way to do it. You know what I mean?
Positive attitude. That's awesome. Now, we're gonna get into some questions that a lot of kids DM me about or DM'd you, I'm sure about.
Absolutely.
Um, and we'll like, what is it called? Fire shots, I guess. Like, we'll get it going. So, what are the three most important things to gain velo? If you had to pick three,
Lift big, eat big, get mobile. If you do all three of those things, you cannot go down in velocity. It's impossible.
shirt's coming out soon of that, right?
That's the plan. I got it. So
Now, how
basically,
many? Oh,
well,
my bad.
you want
Let's
me to
get to the
break
shirt.
that down?
Yeah, we can break it down.
So basically, the get big part, that's pounding weights, doing progressive overload consistently, which let me explain progressive overload. Basically, what you're doing in progressive overload is you're trying to go up in weight almost weekly or bi-weekly. So if I'm doing a deadlift and I'm doing 300 pounds, let's say I pulled 300 pounds 1 week and I did it for 5 reps. The next week, my goal is to do 310 pounds and I'm going to do it for 5 reps. And you just keep doing that and doing that and doing that. And it's cash in the bank. And then one day you wake up and you're pulling 500 pounds. So it's that sort of concept. And then
Okay.
the eat big. If you want to feel good, you're going to have to eat a lot of food if you're training hard. I mean, that's one
Yeah.
thing for me. I've never been a big, like, I've never enjoyed to eat food, really. Like, I'm not a foodie. So for me, being not a foodie, it's hard to eat. Like, I've always been on the skinnier side, and it's been very hard for me to put on, like, a lot of weight. So,
Hmm.
but the way I motivated myself into doing it was I lifted so hard and so intense that by doing that, I had to eat a lot of food if I didn't want to feel terrible the next day. So it
Yeah.
was like I had to prepare myself for the lift by eating a
Per
lot.
pound.
And then I had to eat a lot of food after I finished the lift so that I woke up the next day and I didn't feel like crap. So that's what eating big is. So you can slowly gain weight. And then the getting mobile part is you got to work on your thoracic spine mobility and you got to work on your hip mobility and loosening up your hamstrings. I would
Hmm.
say those are the big three concepts. So
Yeah.
if you can gain range of motion in all three of those things, on top of gaining weight and gaining strength, now maybe when you're throwing 95, it's a little bit different. You may not necessarily gain miles per hour at that point, but if you're doing that,
Yeah.
you're not going to go down.
Hmm.
And especially with the majority of the kids watching this or watching my videos on social media, they're all in like somewhere between 60 and 85. And if you're doing it between 60 and 85, you will go up in speed without a doubt. Like there is no
Hmm.
doubt in my mind that a kid that's 60 miles an hour, if he gets stronger, he's eating a lot of food to gain a little muscle mass, and he gets mobile, he will improve dramatically.
Yeah.
So that's sort of a longer explanation of what lift big, eat big, get mobile means.
Yeah, I agree 1,000% with that because that happened to me like during COVID, and then like a year later, I hit puberty. I got in the gym heavy since during the COVID times. I put on like 30 pounds, and then year later, 90 miles per hour like that. And
Yeah,
now I'm hitting
it's
hard
not
to
that
like
hard.
I'll tell you that.
If people just
Very
follow that
hard.
simple concept, it's really not that hard. It'll take you a long way.
I want to say, and I'm sure you agree with me, the best time to, put on the weight and start getting into this stuff is about like 14 years old, 13, getting these habits. Would you agree with that?
I agree 100%. I mean, I started probably around 11 years old. I don't think necessarily you have to start that early, but I mean, now I'm
Start
21.
hitting it hard.
Yeah, now I'm 21. It's been 10 years of doing it. Like I just can't live any other way. Like if I miss a lift or something because I'm away, like I feel terrible. Like I just want to lift. Like my body craves it. It's like craving a meal. Like you just
Mhm.
like you just have to do it because you don't feel
Yeah.
right otherwise. It's sort of that kind of concept. And instilling that habit is very important at a young age because if you don't have that habit, it's very hard to form a habit when you get older.
That's just going into my next question. How important is a routine as a player who's looking to improve? And what is your like routine, and how many days a week do you throw? Also,
Yeah, I mean, I think routine is everything. Um, whether it's
consistency.
whether it's baseball, whether it's school, whether it's whatever you want to do. I mean, you need to be routine oriented, goal oriented, and consistent to achieve success. Like, okay, maybe I go and lift, and I really just didn't want to lift that day, but I got in there and I did it anyway, and it was not my best lift, maybe only 85% of what I'm capable of in terms of like what I got out of it, right? That's still
Mhm.
85% more than I did if I didn't show up and do it, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of that because even that 85%, if it's not 100%, it's still better than zero. So,
Mhm.
you're 85% further along than you would have been if you didn't do it. And it's a lot of those. I'd be crazy. I'd be lying if I told you I wanted to lift every time I've gone down and lifted weights because there's definitely been a lot of days where I didn't want to lift and I would rather have just like went to bed or something. But
Yeah.
sometimes you just have to have a separation between your emotions and what you're feeling that day and what needs to get done. Because sometimes you just have to get done what needs to get done, whether you want to or don't. I think that's a big
hmm
key to life too, is you just need to be able to distinguish, all right, I'm I really don't want to do this, but I have to do it anyway. Even like a school project or something. I mean,
Yeah.
it's everywhere.
hmm that was a great what you just said because that would like led into my next question. Like, would you say that's the biggest separator of kids leaving the pack of the average to the elite? Like, would you say that is doing not what you want to do, but getting the job done?
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody at the highest level of anything. I mean, there's plenty of great athletes out there with super talented, but I mean, it's hard to say that the most talented, like it's very rare that the most talented is also the best in the world. I mean, you look at Shohei Ohtani, he's
Yeah.
he's right up there with talent. I would say there's probably more talented players out there, but he's without a doubt one of the hardest workers there is. I mean,
Yeah.
I watched a video of him on GQ and he was talking about his customized pillow because he has to ensure that he has perfect sleep. So, I
That's
mean,
crazy.
if he's gone that far as to a customized pillow, there's without a doubt that he's got a regimented lifestyle. He's very consistent on
Yeah.
what he's doing, especially to manage hitting and pitching at all times, because that's a lot of rotation on the body and to be fresh when you pitch. He's got it down to a science with being regimented. You got Trevor Bauer out
Yeah.
in Japan right now. He's one of the most regimented guys there is. So
Yeah.
to be like, and he's not even athletic. Like he admits himself that he's not a very good athlete, but he engineered
Yeah.
himself to become an elite
Figured it out.
pitcher.
Hmm.
So I think a lot of that has to do with that sort of stuff. I mean, not that I'm anywhere close to those guys at all. I'm not even close. I had a 60 ERA in Division I baseball, but I would say the same about even myself when I was younger. Like I was never the biggest guy. I was never the strongest guy. I was never the tallest guy. But I think my separator was my willingness to work hard and not care about that I'm not where I want to be yet. Because I know if I do the work, it will end up being there at some point. Because
Yeah.
I mean, you could see it as I started to progress and grow a little bit in high school. I went from just being like one of the bottom of the order guys to slowly creeping up, and like being a more of a role player on the team. And by
Mhm.
my junior year, senior year, like I ended up being the guy. You know what I mean? So it kind of you just have to just work hard. And I mean, at this point in my life, I'm only 5'9". I'm not a physical specimen by any means. It's just
Hmm.
it comes down to working hard.
Yeah. Would you say working hard at the end of the day always pay off? And like, what do you have to say about these kids who like work their ass off but don't see the results right now?
It, you got to have faith. You just do. I mean, it comes down to just believing in God's plan because you can work your butt off and maybe it
Yeah.
doesn't work out. But I mean,
Can't no regrets after it, right?
exactly. I mean, that's
That's the
exactly where I was trying to go is if you work your butt off wherever you end up and you know for a fact you worked as hard as you possibly could, you're not going to have any regrets with wherever it ends up. I mean,
thing.
even if that means you didn't make the MLB, it's okay. If you worked your butt off and you did everything you possibly could and you got to whatever level is the highest level that you could achieve, then that was all you were able to do. And it
Hmm.
comes down to just simply that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Um, we're gonna like got a couple more questions for you. That's good.
Absolutely.
So, what are your goals for the future? What do you hope to accomplish this year, this upcoming year, and this summer? You could say as well.
So my goals have shifted a little bit. I'm still very focused on baseball, locked in, doing exactly what I want to do. But
Hmm.
one of my biggest goals at the moment is I'm trying to release my strength and conditioning program online, and I've been starting to set out the rollout for it. I'm planning to do it by the end of the summer, where it's going to come out. And basically, what it's called is Unleash Greatness Training. I thought it was a
Okay,
nice name because I
it's
mean,
awesome.
my whole career, I was waiting to unleash greatness, and eventually it came. So I think it fits what I'm trying to do. Made a nice logo for it, and I'm just working on the finishing touches before we roll that out. Got a couple of vacations to go to before I decide to let it loose because I don't really want the headache, but got that
Yeah,
going on. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a very good system, and I'm going to help a lot of people doing it, like rolling it out and helping them through it.
yeah.
So
Hmm.
that's one of my short term slash long term goals because I want to make sure that's as good as it can be, and I'm helping a lot of people. And
Definitely.
then next thing on there, I would say baseball wise, um, I mean, ideally, I definitely, I'm very focused on the 2024 draft. I think if I can throw some form of a strike at some point, it's definitely in the cards because my
You
stuff is
definitely have
there
it, dude.
and I'm feeling very
Nice.
comfortable with where my stuff is at the moment. I
Hmm.
finally feel good throwing my fastball, curveball, and changeup at the moment. So the
It's
better
great.
and better that gets. We got some exciting things going on at Siena right now.
Yeah,
I'm excited to hopefully have a very strong year, and we'll see what happens. At the end of the day, if it's not in God's plan and it doesn't work out and I have another terrible season, oh well. but I'm not gonna not have this goal set on getting drafted and playing in the majors. So I'm
Yeah,
locked in on that. Hopefully this uh this year I can run it up a little bit higher than I've been in terms of speed, and I have a little bit better command of all my pitches, and it turns out well. But at the end of the day, who knows?
yeah. I mean, you're doing everything right, and you're helping everyone else around you. So,
Yeah, so
I
I
believe,
feel comfortable with where I'm at right now. If I'm helping people and I'm trying to work hard at what I want to do, I'm good.
yeah, yeah. With that, I wanted to say, like, I believe good things happen to good people, and I can see success your way. You're doing
I
a
sure
great
hope
job.
so. We'll see.
Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to talk about with the KML fans or the 60RA fans?
Um, Stay tuned. There's
Stay tuned.
lot of things going on both sides. I think
Yeah,
you're growing your side, I'm growing my side, and hopefully we
yeah.
keep on going.
Uh-huh. I want to end it off on saying thank you so much for doing this interview. Um, for people not knowing, I hit him up and he actually responded right away and said he would love to do this interview. He's shown much love, respect, and very humble. As you guys know already, he is probably one of the kindest persons you'll meet, and looking to make everyone better around him and spread positivity around the world, which you don't find many people like. I want to thank you one last time for doing this for me. I hope nothing for the best for you, and you'll see me at a Siena game watching you pitch,
Yes, sir.
baby. Let's
Sounds good,
go.
dude. Thank you so much, Kyle. I
I'm
appreciate it.
excited. I,
Also, DMs are
dude, it's
open.
awesome.
Anyone that wants to
Yeah,
shoot me a DM, feel free. I answer every single one. That's the one last
yes,
message I
sir.
wanted to add.
That's great. I'm serious though. Like with the screen recording off, like